All right, and to finish off the last video, I'm not correcting anybody. A big part of my stuff is that there's no wrong way to do it. There's just different ways to do it, and something isn't necessarily bad or incorrect. It just might be an improper application or improper goal, right, or something like that. Sort of like I mentioned with the barbell row touching the chest stuff. Um, but I don't see stuff as like correcting anybody. I just like to give insights. And once you know enough about biomechanics and shit like that, you see stuff way differently. And more importantly, like me, I don't give advice at the gym for sure. I might post advice on channels occasionally, depends on what mood I'm in. But I'm not, again, I don't try to correct anybody. I just try to kind of give insights or like genuine advice, like to help them improve or like alleviate their concerns of this or that. Um, so I watch a lot of gym fail videos, and for me, like I don't see them doing it wrong or like doing something weird or whatever. Like I can sit there and look at it and be like, I see exactly why they're doing it like that, right? Um, or there's stuff that I do that if you saw it on a video compilation, you would say I was doing it wrong, but same idea. It's like I know why I'm doing it like that. So, like for an example, um, on my light barbell rows or on light deadlifting, I'll actually be very specific about doing a really exaggerated thoracic and lumbar flexion, cat back, so to speak. Now, they have a name for this. I think it's called Jefferson curls, where you go, up to the top and you're actually doing that stuff on purpose. That's kind of the idea of what I'm going for. Um, but like on my barbell rows, like I do them, I don't do a pin lay style. I do them like I pick it up off the ground slightly and my rep starts there, right? I do everything from a hang like that. And I do that for lower back stability and this and that. And that'll get to my point here in a second about slow reps. But um, when I do them, I maintain that position and even use smaller plates or stand on something to get more range of motion so I can really stretch out on the lighter days like that. Now, if people saw me row or deadlift like that, yeah, oh my God, he's doing it wrong. But it's like, that's one of those things that if I didn't do that, I'd barely be able to walk upright. You know what I mean? I would actually have back pain from not doing that, right? So when I look at people and how they do stuff, I'm not seeing wrong or this or that. I see things that maybe they could, enhance the effect they're trying to get or this or that. But most of the time I assume if somebody's doing something, it's for a reason because that's how I am with my training. I do what I'm going to do. It's like I'm doing overhead press or bench press, let's say. If they come in on the light day, they see me. Everybody always shows up on the light day, right? They see the fat guy at the gym only benching 135. I mean, they can think what they want about that. There's a certain cadence to my training and how I undulate stuff. They don't know what I'm doing, or even if I'm doing that every day. Well, dude, I mean, if I've had a long time off of lifting, I start super light and build up real slow. A meso for me could be 6 months, right? To the point to where Ripato would say, "Oh, you could train your whole life and only get sore once." I'm sitting here saying it's like I could be off lifting for 6 months or more, and I could come back and never get DOMs a single time because it's just how you load management, right? And I'm going to get really put to the test on kind of bringing my shoulder back up. This one guy, I saw one of his videos yesterday before my other channel got nuked, where he was talking about on overhead triceps, one of his shoulders coming up. I had the same thing, and I also used to think that in the past, but I got to 135 pounds for 3 sets of 10. and that's one of the videos I was going to re-upload, but I'll do sometime soon. And it never really bothered me. So a lot of stuff is like the range of motion stuff. If something doesn't cause pain, I really don't think about it. I feel like it's better for progression as the individual if you don't worry too much about form. But again, there's dozens of hour plus long videos I can make on shit like that. And I've noticed a lot of channels on YouTube uh, copy my videos really hard because I've had numerous channels, people have copied, I've made tons of videos and stuff, and motherfuckers on YouTube have objectively copied shit that I've said almost word for word. And it's like, I put this info out for free. I mean, I attained it, I got it for free. Why should somebody have to pay me? Or like I see dudes offering to, you could totally pay me to tell you this or that. And it's like, or you could just hear it from me for totally no money, right? Like I've never monetized YouTube in the 20 years I've had, YouTube channels. But so one of the things I'm talking about where there's nuance to it is with rep speed. And you hear this over and over again a lot in recent time about slow eccentrics and this and that. And the kind of bog standard, boilerplate response to it is that slowing the eccentric down doesn't provide additional growth. And that is technically true. However, again, one of these nuanced things that a lot don't think about is that one of the ways that slow reps can be phenomenal is actually for correcting movement pattern disorders. And when I say correct and I say disorder, extremely large air quotes around that. And what I mean is, I'll just jump straight to the specific example. So for various reasons, I haven't really been able to squat for a couple years now. Now, whenever I'm cleaning a decent amount or barbell rowing, I get a decent amount of posterior chain, but even some quad from that, like deadlifting, barbell rows, cleans. Those actually will involve your quads to an extent. But either way, kind of direct stuff like the 495 squat I did several years ago. You know, I haven't had any real kind of decent direct quad work in several years. And so sometimes I get what I've had recently where my knees will just start to kill me and kill me and kill me. And, generally it's going to be when I'm standing up or sitting back down, and usually when I'm sitting back down. And part of that is, you know, not even just fat fucks like me, but, skinny guys or whatever as well. Kind of anybody, they tend to sort of free fall that last bottom bit there into a sitting position on a chair or whatever. But the whole biomechanics of sitting up and down, kind of similar to squatting, they're going to vary individual to individual. There's no hard, fast answer for anybody. It's like I watched one guy earlier, he was talking about elbow mobility and, you need to stretch if you can't lock out all the way. It's like, first of all, locking out your elbow or knee or whatever, that's a structural thing. You're not going to stretch out your bones, right? Or like squat university, you stretch for dorsiflex. It's like, dude, you're not going to stretch. If it's a true structural limitation, you're not going to stretch that away. You know what I mean? Most individuals aren't really limited on dorsiflexion anyway, but if they were, you're not going to fix that. But back to the point I was trying to make. When my knees start to flare up, and most of the time it's when I'm sitting down, one of the ways that I'm talking about here where slow reps can be amazing is for this. And so basically the way I fix it, so to speak, is when I go to sit down, I sit down really slowly. And particularly I go real slow until I hit the point, right? Like that's where the pain is. And I try to hold it there. And then I try to, past that point, at least to some extent, control the descent the rest of the way into the sitting position. And if I do that, even for like a day, just anytime I go to sit down and do it like that, the pain goes away, right? Now, I guess if I did it every time, it would never come back. But of course, you do it, it goes away, you stop doing it, then it comes back. And you know what I mean? That's kind of how rehab, prehab type shit tends to be. Um, and so what at least that would suggest to me is that there's something about the way that I'm sitting down, which is also itself related to my anthropometry, my skeletal structure, segmental proportions, this and that is producing that effect. And so if you sit down slowly, you're essentially kind of training yourself to do it in a way that doesn't cause the pain, or you're essentially teaching yourself how to use your strength in such a way that you're basically building your strength in a particular joint angle, right? And so, yeah, you might not get, extra jacked, if you do 10-second eccentrics, but you might also be better off overall over time, joint health wise, and this and that, if you do it that way. Like for an example with squatting, I make it a point to be pretty well controlled on my way down, stop at the bottom for at least a 1 count, not even necessarily a second, but at least count to 1 in your head, and then come back up. And it seems to be the pause at the top and the bottom that really helped me out. Now, in the past, when I used to do 90-degree powerlifter type squats, my knees killed me constantly. And when I started going ass to grass, and more specifically when I stopped just dropping down, even with the pause at the bottom, my knee pain went away, right? And I mean, 495 at like 430 pounds body weight might not be super impressive, but I've got a video I can maybe re-upload at some point where I did 405 or 410 for 3 sets of 5. And at that point, I think I weighed maybe like, I think I weighed like 280, let's say. But, I got up to 405, 410, 3x5, but also doing like 24 sets of squats a week, right? I mean, most of them were like 50% back offset, so to speak, on a heavy, medium, light undulation, but still, maybe that was a better overall. And the 405 wasn't as bent over. They weren't super paused, but they weren't bounced either. Maybe call them touch and go if you want. But my point is, when I did that stuff, my knees didn't bother me at all. And so I think when I had been doing the powerlifter squats, again, for me specifically, it just seemed halting at that 90-degree angle was just kind of putting sort of a jutting force kind of forward onto my knee that my body just wasn't handling well. I mean, I've seen individuals say if they ass to grass and pause and all this, it makes them hurt worse. And I mean, that's kind of my point with this, right? It's like, do what works. If nothing's bothering you, you don't have to change anything. If you change something and something starts bothering you, quit doing it, right? Like I use flat shoes or barefoot or in socks because that feels best on my ankles. Some people, they wear, it would kill me to wear ollie shoes. Some people, if they don't wear ollie shoes, it fucks their, ankles up. So you just do what works. But you can imagine that with a bench press, overhead press, row, sitting up or down, squat, whatever the case is, those super slow reps. I'll just wrap it up here because I don't have much time left. So it's just going to have to be, stranded on the end here till I make another video in the future. But those super slow reps, they're not for nothing. They might not give you additional growth, but I think, in my opinion, they help a lot with joint issues, or, teaching yourself how to move through a particular movement pattern without having pain. And do what you want with that. I just heavily abbreviated, but I just have to end here. I'm almost at 15 minutes. So yeah, I'll make